What's up guys, how are y'all doing today? Today I want to take a moment and talk about the Tesla stock and if it's overvalued or not. A lot of people have been saying it's a bubble. I personally don't think that it is a bubble, and I really think that the Tesla stock has a lot of potential to go for. So we're going to be talking all about that in this video. So before we get started, like and subscribe if you haven't already, and we'll get right into it. Alright, so I think that the Tesla stock is overvalued purely based off of what analysts are looking at right now, which is basically the automotive segment. But Tesla isn't an automotive company, or isn't just an automotive manufacturer. They are a technology company and they make technology products. One of their technology products is batteries, and batteries are basically the foundation of our future. Your phone uses batteries, this iPad uses batteries, your laptop uses batteries, pretty much everything we have these days uses batteries. And now in the future, your car, your home, for grid storage, those will also use batteries. And batteries are actually going to be a big part of our future. So we have to be prepared for that. And one company that is prepared for that is Tesla. So based off of just what I've said there, that the entire future is going to be batteries, I feel like Tesla is severely undervalued for their future potential. Now here are just a few things that is just upcoming that are pretty much gonna, I would say, increase the Tesla stock in the future, possibly. So I'm just gonna name a few right now. Battery Day, this is the one that's coming like pretty much in what, a week, 2 weeks now, just over 2 weeks now. The Q3 report, that's gonna come out in about a month and a half. Giga Berlin is actually gonna be finished quicker than China, which actually took just under a year for it to be finished. And there's also gonna be, supposedly, at least in China, this is what's gonna happen, a cheaper version of a Tesla, maybe priced at around $25,000. There's a high possibility that that might actually be coming, and the Chinese Gigafactory is actually going to be producing that over in Shanghai. So that is going to be an interesting thing to see, especially since Teslas, although if you take the total cost of ownership, they are cheap, but they're not as affordable as they could be. And that is why Elon wants to bring the cost of battery production down. And on Battery Day, we'll find out more about this. And really, all in all, for the future, we have a lot of things to hope for and to look forward to for Tesla. Now, the Cybertruck release is also going to be coming. Now, there are also going to be brand new gigafactories. Do you really think that Tesla is only going to build Berlin and Texas and maybe China? Really think that? No, they're going to be expanding production. They're literally growing as a company 50% compounded annually. That means they're basically doubling in size every 18 months. Now, my next point actually shows why Tesla should not only be an automotive company, or should not only be considered as an automotive company, which all these analysts actually fail to do, because all they see Tesla as, they just see it as an automotive manufacturer, which it really isn't if you really look and take a deep dive into what their actual financials and what their product lineup it actually is. One example I can just give for that is, show me any other manufacturer or auto manufacturer that offers an $8,000 software upgrade on their cars. Leave a comment down below if you know any, because I personally don't. So now we're gonna have increased sales of solar panels. Tesla Solar is actually growing. They're just actually beginning in 2020 to actually deploy their solar, and they're gonna be one of the biggest pretty much manufacturers of solar in the entire country of the US. Prices are coming down, manufacturing is going up. A lot of people are actually becoming more aware that, oh my gosh, there's actually such thing as actual solar. They're getting it. So obviously market share is supposed to expand, and that brings me on to my next point, is energy storage. Like I talked about in the beginning of this video, battery storage for your home and grid, or V2G, or really anything. Batteries are going to be the future, who are actually going to like buffer out the grid and actually hopefully provide cheap electricity as well. But batteries are going to be basically replacing peaker plants. What are peaker plants, you might be asking? Well, peaker plants are basically plants that actually run during the day when there's like a peak load, and they shut off during the night. So batteries can be able to buffer that out. So you'll basically need just a bit more energy production than base load. So overnight, they'll charge the batteries, and during the day, those batteries will discharge because of peak load. And what that means is a lot of those plants, even though we're not at 100% renewable energy, even with batteries, those plants can be running at their maximum efficiency, because turning those plants off and on actually wastes a lot of time and is quite expensive. So batteries will be able to solve that issue as well. Now, here's one that I personally didn't think of, so I've actually been notified of this. It's Tesla and, well, Curvac basically developing RNA vaccines. I don't know much about it. I don't even know if I said it correctly. So I'm not really going to be talking about it because I simply just don't know enough about it that I cannot give you guys a good enough impression on how big this actually can be. But I'm pretty sure it's going to be a pretty big deal in the future. I'll tell you that much. I know that much. Now another one is the Tesla Semi. Well, Tesla is actually getting into the industrial side of the business. Most other manufacturers, although they are in the industrial side of the business, Tesla wants to actually have a car or a vehicle for every different type of need. Right now we have a luxury sedan, a luxury SUV, now a more mass market sedan, and a more mass market SUV. Okay, and a roadster. I don't know how I got 5. I've just been counting weirdly, I guess. Those were the only 5 variants of the Teslas you can buy. Now we're getting a Cybertruck, we're getting a Tesla Semi, a much cheaper Tesla model, which is gonna come out sometime in the future, and basically a lot of stuff is actually gonna happen. It's gonna be really good. So in the future, what we can look at is basically by 2030, how big of a company will they actually be? And I personally think they'll be one of the biggest companies in the world, producing about 20 million vehicles a year, and possibly their energy side of the business could be just as big, if not bigger, than their automotive business. And that's just 2 separate categories that Tesla is actually targeting right now. Now, if you look at the most valuable companies in the world, most of them are actually energy companies. So energy sector is massive, much bigger than the actual automotive sector. Tesla wants to actually revolutionize that. So I think that they'll actually do a pretty good job there as well. Now, another big business that Tesla actually has is the robo-taxi business. Now, the robo-taxis, whether you believe it or not, whether full self-driving will come or not, it's happening, number 1, and B, Tesla's going to be the first to actually have their first full self-driving vehicle on the road, like proper full self-driving where you can just go to sleep at the back of the car and whatever. And you know what the best part is? Right now they have more than 1 million vehicles on the road today who, with just a software update, can become a robo-taxi. And that's right now. So if we're talking, if Tesla will have, say, a robo-taxi service by 2022, for example, by 2022, they'll be producing 1 million cars per year. That means they'll have more than 2 million cars by that time that will be capable of robo-taxi service. 2 million cars. That is a lot of cars, and that is a lot of robo-taxis. That means that any of those 2 million cars, you can basically go to sleep at the back of the wheel or car or whatever, basically in the back seats or anything really. And it'll take you from point A to point B unless it has to charge, which Tesla does have a robotic charger, but they're not actually introducing it just yet. I do think it's gonna come eventually, so don't think that is a hurdle, by the way, by any means. That is not one of the problems for full self-driving, just saying. Adding on to that, with full self-driving, Tesla can basically open a sort of like app store for their Tesla devices, or Tesla devices is actually a really good name because, or a really good wording or really good category, however, whatever that means, because Tesla vehicles are not as much cars as they are like a computer. They have a screen in the middle, they have a computer behind it, and basically that controls the entire car, rather than these gas engines which are really mechanically driven. And with this computer, with a screen, it's basically like having a smartphone, or you can say it like having a tablet, just in this form. You have that right there, you're doing stuff, you're watching Netflix, you can watch YouTube, pretty much anything really. And with that, you basically can open up an app store just like your phone, and many other manufacturers or people or developers can create apps for that Tesla, for the screen. You can create games, for example. And in the future, actually even right now, you can actually connect a controller to the front USB ports and actually play the games that are on the Tesla right now. So imagine doing that while driving. It's gonna be a really good time. And especially you have that interior camera, you can probably use that for like Skype or Zoom calls or whatever you really need to. So when you're driving, when your car is driving you somewhere, you can basically have a conference call, a conference meeting, you can basically do some schoolwork, I don't know. You can be going across country and you could be taking a class. That's the future. A lot of stuff is actually going to happen with Tesla in the future, in just the next decade alone. And then after that, it's not like the company's just going to stop growing. They're going to keep growing. They're going to keep growing, okay? So in just 10 years, by 2030, they'll be a much bigger company than they are today. Like exponentially, in order of magnitude or 2 bigger than they are today, at least. So with that being said, whether you think it or not that Tesla's a bubble or anything, I personally don't think Tesla is a bubble. I just think that this is basically a correction that happened because, as Kathy Wood puts it the best,
you as a trader and investor, but as a trader also, understand that when you build a base like that, one of 2 things is going to happen. It's either going to break down, and that's what a lot of the bears have been betting on, and they've been throwing everything at it, or it's going to break out. Clearly, we believe is going to break out. And the longer the base, you say 5 years, the longer the base, you know, the
Yes.
bigger the breakout. So we're really looking forward to that.
The longer the base, the bigger the breakout. So this is more like a correction that we've kind of seen where people have been starting to understand, okay, Tesla's core business is just technology. They're a technology company. And the people who still believe that Tesla is an automotive company think it's undervalued and think it's a bubble. But people who actually know that Tesla is actually a technology company and who want to put their money in because it's a technology manufacturer and they make some really good technology and they're innovating on many different fronts and disrupting many different technologies and industries, they know that the stock right now is actually pretty undervalued and their valuation is pretty undervalued, and most people still don't get it. That's why many other people are still putting their money on the Tesla stock, and eventually I feel like the stock will reward them. But people who think it's a bubble, maybe not. And I guess time will tell how the stock or this entire game plays out. But I want to know what you guys think. Do you think it's undervalued, overvalued, or what? Are you a Tesla shareholder? Let me know in the comments down below. So I'll talk to you there. All right, peace. Oh, normally I do my right hand. Peace.
Yeah.